From our studio on 24 Reed Avenue, this is John Higgins live on CHCO-TV television. I'm John Higgins. Awfully good to be with you today. I have a real interesting guest with me. I said it a little earlier. I think he's a real cool dude. Now, I want to introduce him. He is the Natural Resources Minister. He's the MLA for the Albert riding. Please, I'd love to welcome Minister Mike Holland.
Good to be here, John. You can leave the minister alone after that. It's Mike from here on out. Okay?
I want to just let everybody.
Had to do the official title, but just leave it at that.
I want to just let everybody know that I was going to say, my gosh, is it Minister, Your Honor, Mike?
Well, actually, everybody else can call me Mike, but if you'd like, you can call me Minister. We can go with that, just to make me feel important.
Oh well, I'd love to. I'd love to. So good to have you here.
Yeah, great to be here.
As I do with the guests, I check. How do I put that? I go on. My wife sets up Facebook for me so I can go on because
Yeah.
And I went on. She said my wife has talked to you, Mike, and she knows you well. And she said you go on Mike's page and you find out about Mike. So I did. Okay. Wow.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Okay.
So I just want to start with this. Resourceful redneck.
Yeah.
Number one, love the name.
Coolest name ever, isn't it?
Coolest name ever.
Absolutely.
Okay, tell me, how did that come about?
Well, I used to own a company that created, manufactured, and sold products for the outdoors that I invented.
You invented?
Yeah. It started with, I did carry a few other items that I carried and distributed, but the company started with me inventing products to help when I'm out hunting or in the outdoors or camping or whatever. And then it just kind of commercialized. People would say, hey, would you make me one? And I thought, well, how about I sell you one? Exactly. So then it kind of evolved, and it actually did turn into a decent business. We profiled the company on Dragon's Den. We got a deal there. We actually wound up.
Whoa. You went on Dragon's Den?
Yeah, about 5 years ago. We were able to get on.
Okay, so you went to Dragon's Den, and you presented them with this idea that you call it invention?
Yeah, I had probably half a dozen products at that time.
Okay, so these guys are tough.
They are. It's awesome.
Was it fun doing that?
It was the best thing ever. It was great. It was incredible. There was 5 dragons. They're all type A personalities. What you don't see on TV is that they all start talking to you at once. You got to sort and sift through real quick. You really got to be quick and think things through. And it's about an hour. They only show the 7 minutes on the show, but you go through it. You're in front of the firing squad for about an hour, and it's really cool.
Is it literally a firing squad? Are they coming at you?
Yep, they are. I mean, they're talking about real dollars that they're going to put behind you. So if you can't handle the due diligence of a 45-minute interview under pressure, they're not going to invest in you. And I mean, you see it all the time when you watch the show. You can see folks that just maybe weren't ready, having a bad day, but they'll chew you up and spit you out. We were very fortunate. We were new. I didn't have hardly anything in sales at the time, but I had a brand. I had an idea, and I think I had a good idea, so they bought in, actually.
And apparently, so did they.
Yep. It was. I always tell anybody, particularly New Brunswick entrepreneurs, because they think, well, I'm in little old New Brunswick, or can I make it? Can I do something? When everybody says, I wonder if I should audition for Dragon's Den, I tell them, absolutely.
Really?
You go and you do it, and you can't go wrong by doing it. Just the simple exposure that you get's amazing.
When you say they bought in, what's that mean?
We pitched our company. We were a startup at the time. I mean, the ink was still wet on the incorporation papers of the company, and I only had like $6,000 worth of product sold, like nothing. And so I got to figure out, how much do I want them to buy in? What I wanted access to their experience and abilities and networks to create distribution and supply chain.
Right on.
I can have a great product, but I need to be able to get it to market. That's what they had. So I had a business partner at the time, and we came up with a number on the drive to Toronto, quite literally, put that in front of them, and quick and brief negotiation, but they didn't beat us up very much, and they jumped pretty quickly on buying in. So we got a dragon to buy in to a New Brunswick company, one of the only outdoor-driven or hunting-driven companies that's ever gotten a deal on Dragon's Den in the 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's a great experience.
Is the company still existing today?
No, I put it into mothballs because when I got elected, if you're an MLA, you can carry on with alternative income, but if they make you a cabinet minister,
which you are,
yeah, that has to be the sole source of your income. So I mothballed everything.
Okay.
It's there. I mean, someday somebody's going to get one more vote than me.
Yeah.
So it's protected and put away.
I don't know about that.
Well, they're going to have an awful fight for a while, but at some point, it's still there, and the ideas are still there, the inventions are still there. I got a ton more that I haven't even brought to market yet. So.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a great period of my life, and Resourceful Redneck is an homage to my dad, because I grew up with no money on a beef farm that taught us how to lose money real quick.
Where did you grow up?
Miramichi.
In the Miramichi.
Yep.
Great country.
Beautiful country. Great country.
Open country. Wild country.
Oh, I loved it. I loved growing up there. Still love getting home.
Cairns River.
Cairns River. I was on the Cairns River 3 or 4 weeks ago.
I was on the. Oh, were you really?
Yeah, I caught a.
Was there any water on it?
It was good.
Okay.
Yeah, the water temperature was starting to get up quite high, but I caught a real nice bright grill on the river, and the water looked good. You know, I was pretty impressed with what I was seeing so far.
Yeah.
That leads. We should talk about the protections that I want to put in place for those cold water systems up there in Miramichi.
We sure will.
But that's where I grew up. I grew up on a farm up there, and we had nothing. Worked our guts out to try to put a living together. So if something broke on the farm, we fixed it. And that's my dad was the resourceful redneck. Because he'd have vice grips and baler twine and have to fix something because we couldn't go buy new stuff. So
what did I see on your Facebook thing? There was a picture. Somebody forgot a paddle or broke a paddle or something. So you got a license plate.
Yeah.
Resourceful.
Necessity is the mother of invention, right? And I mean that's where
I love it.
I mean I've been out a million times in the woods and something breaks, this and that, and instructions don't do you any good when you're in the woods. You need something that's going to work, or you got to figure out how to fix it.
Exactly.
There's no valet that can help you when you're in the middle of something. So that's how we grew up, and it just naturally became. I'm very passionate about hunting and fishing, and you have to get creative in that process. And I tripped across a couple ways to make some money with it too. So
exactly.
Yep. So that was a great period of my life. I enjoyed that very much. Very much.
Before you started the company, did you work in the woods? How did you?
No. Actually, I worked for politicians for quite a few years.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not new. Okay, so you're not new to this.
No. Oh, no. I attended my first political nomination in 1985. I worked in the election, the provincial election in 1987 was the first one. I was a kid, mind you, but hammering in signs and being part of a team.
Okay.
And then around 03, I worked in the peripheral, but in 03 I started taking on volunteer roles with the Progressive Conservative Party of New Brunswick. Not paid roles, but I was an organizer, or I worked as a regional vice president. I brought ridings together, helped them get what they needed. And then in 2010, I joined the staff of executive assistants with David Allward's Premier's office. And I worked there until he lost the election in 2014. They unceremoniously let us all go the day after that. And then I started the company. And then I did that until the vortex of politics drew me back in to run in 2018.
So here's a guy born on the farm.
Yep.
Loves to hunt, loves to fish, all-round outdoorsman.
Yeah, well.
Now you're in a shirt and tie in an office.
Well, I shelve the shirt and tie as much as I can. It's part of the job, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you go in the legislature, you have to wear your suit and tie.
Yeah.
But it's also important that I'm an MLA that represents people. I'm in a rural riding, but I represent. It's important that my passion is the outdoors. I'm fortunate to be able to work at it in the Department of Natural Resources, but I also have to help a young entrepreneur, or somebody that needs their parents, they need senior care, or somebody that needs a culvert. As the MLA, I have my own passions, and as the minister, I pinch myself every day that I'm working in natural resources with my background.
Exactly.
But there's a place for the suit, because I have to be there to represent. There's 11,542 people in my riding.
11,000.
11,500 people. So they expect me to be able to represent them. Now that could mean the backwoods, but it could mean the boardroom too. So you have to be equally as comfortable transitioning from, the rubber boots to the suit and tie.
Exactly, which you have absolutely no problem with.
No problem at all. So you're representing a segment of the population of New Brunswick. You need you for everything, not just in one trade.
Is it easier being a minister in a smaller, or is it just? Well, but before saying that, my wife has told me, okay, MLAs. Nobody understands. Nobody knows anything about how busy you guys. It's crazy.
We are busy. I mean, but don't cry for me. I mean, I
love
the job.
Me.
I love the job.
Yeah.
And anybody that's not willing, like, this is not punch in at 8, punch out at 4:30, have 2 breaks and your half an hour lunch.
Yeah.
You know, like the amount of gas station sandwiches I've eaten driving down the road, it's not funny.
Yeah.
And we need to attract politicians that don't have a mindset of 40 hours a week, because you're going to be very disappointed or ineffective.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
The other side of that is that, you know, there are people that do want to get into politics, but do want to do the 9 to 5. You're not getting in the right industry. This is a business that starts early in the morning and it goes until. Now, I've worked hard to be very accessible to people. So that means that's going to add extra layers to your day.
That's right. Yeah.
Because when all the stuff is done, the meetings are done, the boardrooms are done, then I have to make sure I'm staying in touch with the people that want to hear from me, that reach out to me. So and that's it's a busy job. Yeah. It's a busy job.
I was talking to your secretary, and she was going over.
See, now she'd tell you the real story about stuff. I'm Lord, maybe we don't want that. No, she's great.
She's not.
Yeah, no, she's awesome.
She was. I was trying to get you on the air here to get you on the show, and she
had to try a couple times, didn't we?
We did, and she goes, okay, and she's rattling off, and I'm going, whoa.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm booking out 3 months now at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
Yep. But that's good. That means if you ever talk to a politician that isn't?
No.
Ask them why not.
Okay.
Right?
Oh, good thing. Good.
Ask them why not, because we need to be accountable, and we need to be busy. Absolutely. People, it's good though that you brought that up, because it's nice for people to, because there are some stereotypes of a politician that lights a cigar with $100 bill.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Hits the couch at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. No, it's not the case. It's not the case. Nor should be. It shouldn't be the case.
Okay. You're volunteering for the party. You're working.
Yeah, that's where it started out.
You got to see. Did you all of a sudden say, "Hey, man, I'm getting into this"?
It's the old parable of the frog in the pot.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
There's a little bit of that.
Okay.
Because you're around it for so long, and then all of a sudden it seems to be a natural progression. But this time around, I was really sparked with some deliberate and intentional reasons for stepping up and putting my name on a ballot. Blaine Higgs, when he became the leader of the PC Party of New Brunswick, I've known him since before he was in politics.
Oh, okay.
I actually taught him how to do door-to-door back in 2010 when he was a new candidate.
Yeah.
And I knew that he was the leader of the PC Party, so I went to him. Before I had ever even thought of it, I went to him and I said, natural resources and conservation have been absent from the political agenda for way too long. And I said, I want to do something about that. And so at that point, I wasn't thinking about running, but I prepared documents that ultimately became our platform in 2018 for natural resources.
Okay.
So I said, and then I was very happy with the fact that he saw the value in that.
Yeah.
And I worked hard on it, and he incorporated that into the platform. And then by hook or by crook, folks in my local area had, indicated that, you've been around this for so long, put your name on a ballot, which I did, and fortuitously I won the seat, and we formed the government, and Blaine came to me as the author of the Natural Resources platform, and then said, get under the hood of that and make that happen. You wrote it, make it happen.
Man.
Like when somebody says, why did you get into this? Like there was a clear path over the years that led me to have some experience, but then writing that platform and my desire to see natural resources not a secondary issue, conservation not an afterthought, but to be a deliberate and intentional part of a government initiative, and to have that happen, that drove me. And like I tell you, I'm so I think proud maybe is an oversimple adjective, but like I just wake up every day and thinking, I can't believe what I get to do.
Isn't that
every
something?
Day? So,
explain to me. Okay, you are the minister of natural resources.
Yes.
What does that?
Okay.
Okay, is that a fair question?
It is, absolutely. It's a fair question, and I'm gonna start with a simple explanation and then go from there.
Okay.
When it comes to natural resources, that's a variety of different things. I'm also in charge of mines.
Okay.
Any natural resource development, like oil or natural gas or mining or any substances, gypsum, nickel, anything. Like, we've got mines throughout the province. So anything that comes from the ground is under my portfolio.
Okay.
Natural resources, we naturally think about trees and wildlife. Absolutely, they're there. They're there. But it is a lot broader than that. On the natural resource side, my job is, I always joke that my job is to cut the trees and save the trees. All at the same time. So, and then ensure that we're managing wildlife populations, ensure that we're managing fish populations, ensure that we're creating habitat that can not only sustain that, but see marked growth levels in those populations.
I want to so get into this.
Yeah.
What do you say we take a break?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then we're
go.
going to come back, and then
I'm in.
Let's go.
Oh yeah.
All right, we are going to take a break. I am going to be back with Mike Holland right after these messages. Welcome back, John Higgins Live. My guest, very interesting, the Natural Resources Minister, Minister Mike Holland, who I have been instructed to call
Yes,
Mike.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. That's your last warning. No more minister.
Minister of Natural Resources, which includes, you just told us all, anything above ground.
Yep.
Okay.
And anything below ground.
And anything below ground.
Yep.
Okay.
If you dig it, mine it, cut it, grow it, and it's within the footprint of the natural scope of
Right.
of our province, it's managed under the Natural Resources Department. So,
Now, when you say manage,
okay.
yeah, what's that mean?
Well, one of the things that I'm very passionate about is, see, I've been the minister for almost 2 years, but I've been an active, I guess, lobbyist to natural resources for over a decade.
Exactly.
Because I've gone to them saying about, I'm a familiar face with natural resources because I've been part of other groups advocating for increases to the way that we manage, improvements to the way that we manage our natural resources.
Is it fair to say that you've been on the other end of the...
Other side of the boardroom table, yeah, for a lot of years.
Perfect, yep. Go.
And that when we walked in, we hit the road. Well, I hit the ground running because I had a very clear direction of what I wanted to do. I always had issues with the fact that we manage. Well, you can manage something into a very small number, right?
Yeah.
I want to talk about how are we going to grow our natural resources? How are we going to, we've got our natural resources feeds our forestry industry, but it also feeds our outfitting and guiding industry. It also feeds our hiking, camping industry, general folks like with the river systems and canoeing. Like that's an industry. Instead, we qualify stuff by a factory that sells tires. Did it sell more tires this year? Then that it's doing well. So I've come in and I've started to put parameters around. I want to have annual measurables that show that we're doing better this year than we were doing last year, or in the work that I'm doing with conservation and forestry, better 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now. Generations that aren't even born yet are going to benefit from the conservation work that we're doing right now.
Exactly.
But I need to put stuff in place so that the goal, we keep moving the chains, and we see, the progressive realization of these worthy ideals about growing our resources for a variety of different purposes. And I think for so long we became, and I'm not criticizing my own department, but we haven't done a very good job of communicating what we do, educating people about what's being done, or looking at it from a customer service driven perspective of how can we do better, okay? And I believe that I've shifted that paradigm within the Department of Natural Resources. Staff look at stuff from a perspective of, I gave them 3 questions to look at everything with. When I was advocating for growth and change, I found that I got no a lot. When I went to Natural Resources, I got no. Well, how about we do this? No. And I wasn't really getting good answers as to why. And so when I came around the other side of the chair, I said, when somebody comes in, a stakeholder comes in, and all of the stakeholders now have unfettered access to the minister's office.
I heard this. You are so accessible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody says it's not, you answer emails. You
directly. Yeah.
Directly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because you need to have that connection with the stakeholders. You get in a bubble and you form your policies in a bubble, you're going to miss the mark. And it's unfortunate, but it's natural that a lot of times people get in bubbles within departments and they forget about what the customer is saying, what the customer wants. And I come from a private sector background, so I know that I gauged how well I was doing every year by the results I was getting. So I've incorporated the same thing. So everybody gets to come in, and when they come in with an idea, I gave my staff 3 questions to filter through. You know, why not? First question, why not? When somebody comes in and sits down, then when they work through that, what if? And then let's go. There's three statements that I want, questions and statements that I want. What if, why not, and let's do it. And don't give me the reasons why it can't happen.
You're one of those guys that don't. I'm not.
I don't want to hear why.
I don't want to. Yeah, I want. But you sound to me. Why? Let's see if we can do this, okay? But show me how we're going to do this.
Oh, clearly defined.
Clearly define what your plan is.
Mutually agreed upon, clearly understood expectations. It's got to be a plan that's solid and works.
Yeah.
And I have that accountability from the stakeholders when they come in. You know, when they come to me with a good idea, I'll say, yeah, I like that.
Right.
Now, how do we do this? How do we do that? Instead of just turning it over to my department, I want to engage them in the process.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, because then you're going to find things that, you know, you're going to work bugs out along the way instead of launching something that doesn't work. Like I founded the Canadian Wild Turkey Federation a number of years ago, and I found it frustrating to deal with government departments because of a lack of access or a lack of possibility thinking. And now we're in this Charlotte County region. You can't swing a chair around and not hit wild turkeys. I predicted that over a decade ago, and I said if we don't do something about it, we're going to have a problem. And it was never perceived as an issue. So now I'm actually in the chair where we can work on managing those problems and those issues.
You are the epitome of hands-on.
Absolutely. I mean, now that being the case, something amazing happened with some staff. They started getting clear direction, so they started getting empowered, and they started doing some stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right, and a lot of them had been waiting for somebody to say, "Let's go."
Biddy.
Yeah, so that's less about me and more just about the fact that I'm able to take the handcuffs off them and let them go do what they're good at.
Yeah.
Right, and then the biggest thing that we've embarked upon in the last little while. Well, we've received awards for the conservation work that we've done. And forestry.
You've received awards.
I've received, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
you have.
Yep,
Yeah.
there were awards that were given to me.
Yeah.
The Canadian Wildlife Federation gave me an award for the environmental responsibility and the historic conservation moves that we've made. The New Brunswick Wildlife Federation has given me the award of. It's a little. I don't want to, self.
No, do it.
Go on, but
do it.
Sportsman of the Year for 2020 was given to me. That's never been given to a politician or a cabinet minister before.
I was going to say, yeah. I think you're the first minister that. I think you're the first. I really do. I think you're the first minister that I've interviewed that you could also go out and cut up a cord of pulpwood if you had to.
If I have to. Yeah, pulp's not worth much now though. So let's.
Well, okay.
Let's go after the hardwood.
Okay, now listen. All these turkeys now that are out there, which you predicted.
Yep.
I hope they don't want to try to come into St. Andrews because we're full of deer.
we went from feather to fur. What a transition! You did that so well. You must have some experience.
Thank you very
much.
much.
We got a couple of deer here in St. Andrews. Actually,
yeah.
I'm here today because one of the things when we're finished here, I've got to meet with the municipality and have conversations. We've taken some steps. I'm meeting with them to go through, where we're at, what we're planning on doing, ways that we can work together to manage it because it's an issue. We've got a population of humanized deer here now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a problem.
Okay, so what is glyphosate? What is that?
We went from feathers to fur to herbicide.
Exactly. I told you this show, we're all over
I love
the place.
it. Actually, it kind of fits with the way I operate. So, glyphosate is it's a chemical that's used for vegetation management. It's a weed killer. So essentially, on a very small footprint of our crown land, we have I'll give you big numbers, or simple numbers, round numbers. We have 3 million hectares of land that's crown land.
Okay.
Okay. In that 3 million hectares, 13% of that, or about 400 hectares, 400,000 hectares, is in plantation, which is basically single species trees that are planted, mostly spruce, fir, or to a lesser degree jack pine. That's softwood that's grown like carrots, basically in a garden.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so they're planted, and then within a couple of years, they're sprayed with the glyphosate, which kills any competing vegetation and then allows those trees to grow.
Who's spraying?
Well, basically the licensee. Like we have a license. Put it this way. I use this as an example. John, you and I have a garden, okay, and we want to grow carrots and we want to sell the carrots.
Right.
So we're going to get X amount of money for the carrots.
Right.
When we ultimately get them to market.
Yep.
So we hire somebody to go in and weed and seed and feed the carrots, and so there's a cost associated with getting those carrots to market. So what we do is and keep in mind, there's misconceptions out there. There's a lot of people that think that all of crown land is clear cut. And like I told you, 13% of our crown land footprint is in plantation. Not 13% growing every year, 13% total. And we rotate 15,000 hectares within that every year. And that's the carrot patch that we're growing, trees that we're feeding industry with, that's keeping 22,000 jobs going here in the province of New Brunswick. So that carrot patch is weeded, seeded, and fed by the licensees. There's 7 different licensees that cut wood in the province of New Brunswick.
Okay, yeah.
And like that's everything from small licensees to large industrial, Fornaboo, Chaleur, Irving, Acadian Timber.
Does MB Power spray?
They do, but I'll tell you, I want to talk about that.
Okay, good.
I want to talk about that. Glyphosate is very good at killing food.
Well, I was going to ask you this.
It's very good at killing food for
Are
wildlife.
all the deer that are now residing in St. Andrews and loving it, okay, are they here because of the glyphosate?
No.
They're not.
No, they're not.
They're just coming because it's a tourist.
They're not. I mean, I drove down here from the number 3 down to, and I drove through mixed Acadian forest all the way, with a couple of little spots of plantations. There are.
Excuse me.
Yes.
What's a plantation?
A plantation is the carrots.
Okay.
Like a single species where we cut and we plant the single species. And then we apply the glyphosate and then we grow it.
Okay. Yep.
Like a garden would.
Okay.
It's to produce trees for industry exclusively. That's what that
is. That protected? Is that
No, that's not a protected area. The protected areas right now, we have 4.6% of the province that's in protected area. I've doubled that to 10. More than double that to 10.
Wow.
That's what the Canadian Wildlife Federation paid attention to. Because that's historic. That added 540,000 hectares of preserved, conserved land here in the province of New Brunswick. That's never been done before. And so here's where I say I got to cut the trees and save the trees. So I have small plots of trees that are growing for the pulp mill, right, or the sawmill. Okay, and I got to offset that by making sure that I'm increasing the amount of conservation land and ground that we do. In fact, when I'm done, this year alone, I added more conservation land, which is never going to be cut, never going to be sprayed. I added more of that than is actually in those plantations, total.
Really?
In 1 year. And that's never been done before. So, I mean, that was a pretty significant move. And then the other thing is, this is part of the education, the communication. When I'm done with this plan, for every 50,000, I'll use round numbers, for every 50,000 hectares that we cut in the province of New Brunswick, 40,000 of them are going to grow back naturally, without any herbicide treatment or without any plantations. And 80% of the trees that are going to be cut are going to grow back naturally. That's a lot of food in the fridge. Add to that the 500,000 hectares I know I'm getting into numbers there, and but I can sit and talk about it all day because we have significantly increased the opportunity for wildlife to have cover and food, two things they need.
Well, these natural reserves.
Yep.
Okay. Is there any way we can talk the deer in St. Andrews to move out?
Well,
to these?
part of the thing we got in St. Andrews. Oh, with NB Power, I'm embarking upon a pilot project. They cut and then they spray under the power lines to keep the vegetation down from getting up in the power lines. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So what we're doing is we're going to embark on a pilot project where we cut it, and then we create food plots in there for wildlife.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's going to be an incredible way to channel them.
Channel these guys back out into the.
Yep. Because what are power lines? Pathways throughout the entire province.
So how do we get them from here to there?
Well, a couple of things. We gotta have folks. If any of the viewers are here and they're in the area, in the St. Andrews area or anywhere where you've got urban deer, stop feeding them. Please stop feeding them.
Yeah.
I know that people are well intended, but a couple of things happen. Once humans are imprinted upon them as a source of food, it's tough to get rid of them.
Exactly, I heard that.
Right.
I heard that.
And even
nobody's hurting them.
No.
Or nobody's shooting them. I hate, but
Yeah.
You know, but nobody's shooting. So
Well,
these guys, they're saying to one another, "Come on in here. You're going to be safe."
Well, it is, and like I said, once humans are imprinted upon deer as a source of food, it's tough to get them to naturally go. They've got to forage in the woods for the food. I'm going to put lots of food back in the fridge for them in the woods, but the problem is that it's like me having to go make a 5-course meal, or having somebody drop it in my lap. What am I going to do?
Okay, you're going to go over the.
If somebody's going to pass it to me, I'm going to take it, and so. We do have a harvesting program there right now, and I've increased the harvesting program, and that's helped increase the number of deer. But the feeding has to stop, even bird feeders.
Oh, really?
When you think about it,
I
nuts,
suppose.
seeds, all that stuff.
Yeah, they eat.
They'll eat. They'll eat it.
Somebody said to me once about a sterilization program.
That's historically proved to not
work.
Not work.
Okay.
Not work.
Okay.
It doesn't have a high enough percentage of an effectiveness rate.
Okay.
And then I mean deer can live for a long time.
Oh.
And so I mean you still got them around. Trapping and transferring them is difficult because like say we take them, we want to move them.
I was going to ask you about that.
Well, say we want to move it somewhere. Well, first of all, I told you. They now know to go looking for humans for food. Mm-hmm. So really I've taken your problem and I've given it to another community's problem because those deer will go find
Seriously?
Oh yeah, they will. I mean, the backyard feeder has been imprinted upon them of where they can go get a meal.
Exactly.
So if I'm taking them to outside another community, I've just given another community a problem.
That's right.
And then the other thing is, even if I say we'll take them far enough away that they won't encounter other communities, I am probably not doing that animal any favors because they want to eat in a feeder now. They don't want to eat in natural. So I could be starving them. I could be doing a whole bunch of things. Not to mention the stress involved in the transport is proven to be very difficult. I want to create more habitat for them. I want the communities to help by not feeding them. Like seriously, put moratoriums on it, put fines on it, do something. We got to stop that. And then it is killing the deer, but use the harvesting program as ethically and as legally and as responsibly as possible to get those numbers down.
How are you going to do that?
Well, I doubled the tags last year.
Oh, okay.
But
Mike.
Yeah.
We can't go downtown St. Andrews and shoot a deer.
Well, no, you can't. But ultimately, the ones that are downtown ultimately started uptown at some point, right? So what I'm saying is that the harvesting takes place before it gets downtown. And if we get the numbers up at the harvest, then there'll be less of them making it downtown.
Oh, I could.
That's Yeah. You can't shoot it from downtown, but there's enough urban areas that are within the regulations that we could be harvesting a lot more than we are right now. So
seriously, the populations do
in this area.
In this area,
yes, we could. And I'm working with the town on that, and we're going to meet today. And like I said, I'm not closing the door on any ideas, but there's certain ones that have limitations. and there's certain ones that have obstacles. So I'll work with them, and we'll, I don't mind embarking on little projects here or there to try stuff, because you never know. We try something and it works, then we've found something. We won't know unless we try on certain things, but we just have to be very careful that we're not doing harm. I know we're talking about killing them, but I don't want to hurt any animals. If trapping and transferring them causes stress that they die, if putting them in the woods where they won't eat properly is going to cause them to die. I love animals. Yeah. People think that it's the great paradox, because I do harvest them, and I feed my family with a great deal of wild game, but I still love them at the same time, and I want to see more born than die. Yeah. We just got to make sure that we do it properly.
This just popped into me. You're meeting with the town today.
Yes, okay. I am.
And they may have some ideas for you. Am I correct?
I think so. I'm assuming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have to sign off on anything before anything can be done as the minister? That's what I.
Well, it depends.
Okay.
It depends. Like, we deal with a couple of things where there's certain things that can be done by just us sitting here at the table, John.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Let's do that.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. There's certain other things there's regulations within the Fish and Wildlife Act that will need changing.
Okay.
So that means I have to take it to a different level. And then there's other things that the legislation, the whole act would have to change, which means I have to bring it into the legislature and stuff like that. So,
you know the ropes. You know the way.
Well, there's from simple to complex. I always like to say, what can we do without, like, that we can turn around ideas quick? Because I don't like forming committees to have more meetings, to talk to other people, to form another committee. I don't like that.
You do not seem like that.
No.
Okay, we're going to continue on. We're going to take a break right now. I'm going to be back. Talk about interesting.
I love it. Let's keep going.
Okay, the Minister of Natural Resources, Mike, and I will be back in just a moment.
We will.
And welcome back. John Higgins Live. Awfully good to be with you. What an interesting guest. Talk about an informative guest. I have with me the Natural Resources Minister, Mr. Mike Holland. My goodness, holy cow. You've taught me more in the last 50 minutes about forestry and about forestry. Talk about involved. Whoa.
Well, you know what? I was reflecting on our last segment, and we hit the high points on so many different aspects of it. But forestry, somebody told me one time, I can't remember who's responsible for it, but I love the quote. Forestry isn't rocket science. It's a lot more complex.
Really?
And as I got involved, the more I realized, wow, absolutely. So I've always felt like we can do better as it comes to developing and managing our natural resources.
Which you made very clear when you went in as the minister.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what we've done isn't perfect by any stretch. What we've done is subject to continued improvement along the way. I'm very much in favor of that. But there's a lot of misconceptions about forestry. And what we've done, though, has been historic and moved the needle in the direction towards conservation being a valued seat at the table. Mm-hmm. And quite honestly, that's never been done before. So within a short year and a half, we've made some significant impacts. We've doubled the conservation forest. I've actually halted the increase. There's crown wood that can be cut. I've halted that. Like every year they come and they say, well, there's X amount of crown wood that we can increase the amount of cut. We're growing a lot of wood on crown land, but I held it. For 5 years, I said, no, I'm not going to cut anymore. Yeah, no. I'm working on a plan to help unlock private woodlot wood to get into the marketplace, to be less of a burden on my crown, so that I can focus more on conservation. As you can see now, this is all parts of a big puzzle, right?
Yeah.
And so it's so hard, like, and I'm on Facebook a lot, but it's so hard, like, I can't address the glyphosate issue in a tweet, or or a Facebook post. I can't address the conservation issue in a paragraph. But I've taken comfort in the fact that organizations like the Canadian Wildlife Federation and the New Brunswick Wildlife Federation have said you're on the right track, and we want to reward you and award you a pretty significant. So I know we're on the right track. Can we do better? Absolutely. Will we? You betcha we will. And we're going to continue to refine our efforts until we've put this forest together. The other thing is, I talked about growing carrots. You can grow a garden in 3 months. What I'm putting in place, people who aren't even born yet will get the benefit of that.
Exactly.
So, you know, and none of us really like delayed gratification very much. And they say, well, what's the conservation? Okay, so how's that going to help me shoot a big deer next year? Well, it's not. It's not. But what I'm doing is putting in place expansive conservation that for future generations, they'll see the benefit of it. And continue to use some very deliberate methods so that I can continue to keep the industry. I mean, 22,000 jobs, $1.7 billion from our forestry industry. That's no laughing matter.
I guess it isn't.
Take that out of the New Brunswick economy. I'm not going to be the guy that kneecaps the forestry industry when it comes to the amount of economic impact they have. So I have to get very creative and figure out how I can make them and conservation all live under the same roof. And I think we're onto it.
Do people know what you're doing?
No,
no. That's terrible.
No,
you know,
it's not. And I spend 2 or 3 hours a day on social media or in places like this or whatever, explaining that the fact that there are some complexities to this and some intricacies, and there's no magic wand or silver bullet. You know, like for example, we talked about glyphosate in the last segment, and there's a lot of people that say stop spraying, and I was like, okay, well. What else? Well, let's stop spraying. As soon as you stop spraying, everything will be fine.
Don't I see the signs up? Those are the signs.
Yeah, they are.
Stop
and you know what? I really appreciate the passion behind that. But the truth of the matter is if I did what they said and just stopped spraying, and didn't expand conservation area, didn't contain industry to smaller blocks that are intensively managed, didn't hold the increase to cutting on Crown land or work on the private woodlot. If all I did was that one thing, that's not a magic bullet. You know what'll happen if I stop spraying?
What?
Clear cuts will double in the province of New Brunswick. Because you see, I don't allocate hectares to the forestry companies. I allocate cubic meters. So if I stop spraying, you're not going to get as high a yield, right? And so I still have to provide that wood. So the footprint that they get it from will have to increase. So the irony is, if we stop spraying completely, then I can't achieve my conservation goals.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But that involves a much more in-depth conversation and people willing to acknowledge that we're moving in the right direction. You know, I have time for everybody that wants to sit down and have the conversation. I don't have a lot of time for somebody that says one thing will fix everything.
Yeah.
Because it's as you've seen just from our conversation, it's significantly more complex than that. So
just explain something to me. Here I go again. Crown land.
Yes.
Private land.
Yes.
You're the Crown land.
I am. Yeah.
I'm the little guy with the private
land. Yeah. Well, 51% of the footprint of New Brunswick is in Crown land. 30% is private land, and 20% is industrial freehold, like the forestry companies would own.
Okay. I'm a little private guy.
Yep.
Okay. Are you in control of my little?
No.
Really?
Nope. I can't tell you what to do.
I can cut and do whatever I want on there?
Well, see, that's the other misconception is a lot of times people will see clear cuts and blame me and say, oh, you're cutting all the Crown land. Well, actually, I was victim to that. When I went in, I beat my hand on the table to my own staff members and I said, you know, in my area, I said, we're cutting all the, you know, the Crown land is getting destroyed in this area. And they brought the map out and they said, where? And I pointed it out and they said, well, you know, there is some Crown in there, but that's overwhelmingly private land. And I can't.
And that's the private owner cutting
the
that.
private
That's not you doing that.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not. And I don't think I should be able to tell private owners what to do with their land.
Really?
I'm a very much believer in educate the private woodlot owners as to what opportunities and avail. See, what happens is a lot of them don't know how to get most value out of their wood, so they'll just come in and clear cut it. And one of the things I'm embarked on, this is a whole other show, is a process of creating education and equipping the private woodlot sector with the resources to put a plan together for the private woodlot owners.
Okay.
So instead of them, I don't know, you know, if I inherit a woodlot from my dad and he was a forester, but I'm not, I don't know how to get the value from it. If somebody wants to cut it, I'll let them cut it.
That's right. I've heard that. You know,
Yeah.
Oh, I got so-and-so to come in and cut all that because I don't know what to do with it. Right? Right on?
Yeah. Well, I'm committed to educating these private woodlot owners.
Okay.
So perhaps it's a select cut. Perhaps it's maybe there's carbon sink credits that are available through the federal government that we can help them with. But an educated private woodlot owner is a better private woodlot owner. And I believe, and I'm confident that there's 200 to 800,000 cubic meters of private wood that's not in the system right now.
What's that mean, not in the system?
It means I believe that there's a significant amount of private woodlots that aren't being utilized because the owners aren't educated as to what the options are.
Yeah.
So I'm committed to making sure that we properly educate them so that they can remove barriers to access to that wood to market at a fair price. And so,
and you would help them out with that?
We are committed to it. I'm working with it.
See, people don't know that.
No, they don't. They don't. And it's and like I said.
So if everybody's listening and watching,
give me a call and 4 hours worth of your time, and I can fill you in. I can scratch the surface.
You're not going to be able to do it. No, you're not going to be able to do it in 4 hours.
If I could talk to every New Brunswicker, and that's unrealistic and naive, but I just wish I could sit down and have this conversation about all the stuff that we're in the middle of.
Yeah.
You know, because on the outside looking in, you know, like when I doubled the conservation area in the province of New Brunswick, people didn't realize that's the equivalent of adding 19 more Fundy National Parks to conserved area.
You're kidding.
Okay, let's put it in context that we can understand.
Wow.
Never been done. It's historic. In 1 year, we're doubling the conservation area. In 2014, forestry plans were put in place, and it dropped the conserved areas in New Brunswick from 28% to 23%. In 1 year, I'm able to bring them up to 30 again.
Holy cow.
It's historic, right?
Congratulations.
Well, I love it. I mean, it's a dream.
I
it's
can
a dream
almost
come
tell.
true. It's a dream come true. Perfect? No. But if we
you must be happy with the way it's going.
I love the direction we're going in. I only needed about another 8 years, and I'll be able 8 or 10 years. Like I said, I don't want to walk away from this for a long time. We got a lot of work to do.
I don't think anybody wants you. You know these lands that you say that are the equivalent of Fundy National Park. Like,
yep.
Can you hunt on those? I'm just.
See, part of the increase to the land is that, of course, I'm an outdoors person.
You sure are.
I want hiking trail ability. I want walking trail ability. I want hunting and fishing availability. So right now, you know, despite COVID, we've had a significant amount of applications to expand those, and they're going to be, for the most part, Class 2 protected natural areas, which still allows the enjoyment of the outdoors.
I see. Yeah.
There's going to be restrictions on motorized vehicles in certain areas, of course. But the other thing is, you know, they're not ever going to receive glyphosate.
Yeah.
They'll never be sprayed. They'll never be clear cut.
Yeah.
Right.
What were these lands before?
Well, it's a combination of both private land and Crown land.
Oh, okay.
You see, I'm very fortunate to have benefited from a grant from the federal government. They've come alongside us because across the country they're committed to increasing conservation land by 17% in each province. The other provinces aren't at 17, and we're only at 10 now with what we did. But the goal is to get our conserved areas up to 17%.
Okay. Yeah.
So we benefited from a grant. That gives us the opportunity to sometimes purchase land if it's private. But it's a key area.
Okay.
Like, and I don't know about purchasing it, but I did want to mention the Miramichi River system is...
I was just going to ask you, let's get back on the canes. Let's get back...
Oh, the Miramichi River system is...
cold water protection.
Yep. There's a lot of areas, particularly up in the northwest section of the Miramichi River, that, I mean, climate is changing. And we're seeing water temperatures get lower faster, and the levels get lower and the temperatures get higher. That's deadly for fish, deadly for our Atlantic salmon. Now, there are tributaries that are cold water pools that feed into that, and so a significant amount or a significant effort on that conservation land is going to go into those sensitive waterways, and it's going to provide protection there because buffer zones. You're familiar with buffer zones?
No.
Well, you can only cut trees up to 30 meters up to a waterway.
Okay.
That's an arbitrary number. I want to make it whatever the proper number means. Which that means if this cold water stream needs protection that's 300 meters of a buffer, let's do it. Whatever
I get you. Okay.
Whatever makes that ecologically sustainable and that'll ensure the biodiversity and ecological sustainability of it. like we've got Conservation Council working with us, CPAW's working with us, Nature Trust, Nature Conservancy. All of the right stakeholders are helping us identify these areas. And I'm hoping that we're going to look at this Miramichi River system. I met with the ASF and the Conservation Council, and I'm very excited about putting a project together that encompasses cold water protection in that Miramichi watershed.
Okay, and what does a buffer zone mean again?
Buffer zone, just imagine a river.
Yeah.
Okay, you can only cut up to so far, and the area that's not allowed to be cut is called a buffer.
Oh, okay.
Right, and
So that can't be cut. Okay.
that can't be cut.
Right.
Right now, they're just an arbitrary number. I want it to be whatever the number needs to be.
I see what you're saying.
Right?
I see
If
what you're saying.
There might be spots where 30 meters is good, but I might need it to be 500 meters or 300 meters, and I'm willing to put whatever the protected area is.
You're such a hands-on guy. Do you? I can see you out trooping through the woods saying, "Okay."
We have.
Well, I can see it.
We have.
But do you have people that work for you? That
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. No, we got full staff to do that. Make no mistake. I've tramped out in the woods with the guys, but we got a full forestry staff, and we've got a full makeup of the forest footprint and where there's target areas. Plus, we're working with those key stakeholders, the conservation stakeholders.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's it, and they've never been invited to the table before. They've never been. Forestry management has never involved conservation stakeholders, and now we've got them sitting at the table with us. I'm very proud of that. So once again, I can face critics for what we've done, but I'm very proud, and I feel like I'm not looking in the rearview mirror. I'm looking ahead, and I think we're on the right way.
I can
right
see
path. Very much so. Very much so. So, and we're going to make sure that we in the spring of 2021 finally move forward with our turkey hunt here in Charlotte County. See, I brought you all the way back to the feathers again.
You are good. I'm telling you,
brought you all the way back to the feathers.
Okay, one more. NB Power. You're also in charge of NB Power.
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
Well, NB Power is a crown corporation.
Okay.
Okay. A crown corporation is basically it is a corporation. It's run by a president, CEO, board of directors. It's at arm's length from government.
Do you have? Oh, okay. Do you have to go to those meetings, or are you involved in?
I don't.
They probably have to come to you. What am I saying? They have to come to you.
Well, they come. I mean, I've attended their board meetings and whatnot, and they've got. They have autonomy. They run their corporation. The role I'm playing is that the government's the major shareholder in NB Power.
Okay.
So what we do is we are at arm's length. They are certainly allowed to operate, but we are trying to create more accountability and communication, because NB Power is again a very ununderstood entity here in the province of New Brunswick.
Misunderstood or understood?
Misunderstood.
Really?
You know, I mean, all we see is a rate increase every year. And
That's
we think,
right.
Well, what's going on here? What's going on
That's
there?
right.
And once again, NB Power hasn't done a great job of communicating properly their initiatives. So,
Are you going to take that on too?
No, I don't have the bandwidth to do that.
I was going to say. I mean, you're doing tremendous right here, right where you are.
But they are accountable to us, and so stuff like a shareholders meeting. Like
that's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Okay. The shareholders. What percentage is owned by the government?
Well, we are the major shareholder.
The major shareholder.
We're the only shareholder. So
I was going to say, there's no other shareholders.
No, it's just us.
Okay.
It's the government. And we've set them up as a crown corporation at arm's length with government. But what we're doing now is we just brought in a new CEO. I really enjoy working with Keith. He's the new CEO of NB Power.
Okay.
He's got a bit of a business background himself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, once again, you've got to tell your story better. You've got to learn how to tell the story, because, you know, honestly, if we went down here to Tim's, and I've done this all over the province. I've stopped at, not mentioned who I was or anything like that, and just said, tell me what you think about NB Power.
That's him. He knows anything you want to know or anything you want done. Go see him. Okay, you wouldn't be able to have a coffee anywhere. Go
it's
talk
worse.
to him.
It's getting worse. Yeah. It's getting worse.
Go talk to him. So anyway, what happened? So
but I'll go to Tim Hortons and I'll say, or coffee shops. I don't know. We're probably not able to brand any. You'll hit coffee shops and I'll just say, tell me what you think about NB Power. And I'm very. It's intriguing to hear the responses, because a lot of people feel like they don't feel like they're getting the best value for their dollar, right? And I'm an advocate for the ratepayer. I said I'm going to be an advocate for the ratepayer, so we have to protect, advocate, and educate our ratepayers so that they know exactly what they're getting. And for so long, all we've been getting is a bill.
Right. You're right, though. That's.
So
is the power bill here yet?
Yep. And so what are we getting for that? What goes behind that? And then, of course, I give them a mandate letter every year. And one of the things that I've worked on very hard over the last 2 years is run your business so you can be a business and pay down debt and like corporate things that you would expect from a non-crown corporation.
Exactly.
You know, and I like working with them. And once again, when organizations get clear direction, you start to see results. So
I'm going to tell you something. This has been awesome.
Oh, I love it. A little shy.
You are, but I got you out of it.
Yeah, you got me out of my shell pretty good, John.
Anything that you want to say? I just want to just say to our audience if they want to call you, get a hold of you.
Absolutely. Can I give contact information?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. My email is just Mike.
Yeah.
Holland.
Mike.
At gnb.ca.
Okay.
That comes directly to me. And I read every one of them.
I know you do.
I do farm out to staff on some stuff, but I read every one of them.
I know you do.
My cell number is 506-377-2579.
It's going to go out there.
Yep. I want anybody to be able to reach out because we had a great opportunity to talk, but once again, we only hit high points.
I know.
And I know that there may be some of your viewers that are thinking, well, hold on now. I don't know about that, or I want to know more about this, or I want.
I think what we're going to do is we're going to get you on again sometime.
I'll come back.
You don't mind coming back?
No, I'll come back anytime.
Okay. My guest has been the minister, Mike Holland, the Natural Resources Minister. It has been so good to talk to you. Thank you so much. And listen, man, you're a winner.
I love this. Thanks a lot, John.
Okay.
I appreciate you giving me a chance to talk so much about things I love.
Okay. Okay, everybody. See you next time. Bye now.